You don't notice it at first. It doesn't show up all at once. There's no single moment where everything suddenly changes. Instead, it builds quietly, slowly, through decisions, through pressure, through systems most people never see. Somewhere, far from where you are right now, an oil tanker is waiting, not moving, not unloading, just sitting in open water. At the same time, across the world, a production facility is running at reduced capacity, not because demand is gone, but because something in the system isn't flowing the way it used to. And in another place, a decision has just been made, a production cut, not dramatic, not sudden, but enough to shift the balance. You don't see any of this, but you feel it. A few days later, you pull into a gas station. The number is slightly higher than it was last week. Not enough to shock you, but enough to notice. You go to the store, prices feel heavier. You can't explain exactly why, but something feels different. This is how it starts, not with headlines, not with panic, but with small shifts that spread, because oil isn't just another commodity. It's the backbone of the modern world. Even today, oil accounts for roughly 30% of global energy use. It powers transportation, it fuels shipping, it drives agriculture, it supports manufacturing. Every truck on the highway, every plane in the sky, every product that moves from one place to another depends on energy, and a large part of that energy is oil. For decades, the system has relied on a simple assumption: that energy will remain available and relatively stable. And when that assumption holds, everything works. Supply chains move smoothly, prices remain predictable, growth continues. But when that assumption starts to break, even slightly, the entire system begins to adjust. Because oil prices don't move randomly, they respond to pressure. Three forces shape everything: supply, demand, and risk. Supply is controlled by how much oil is produced globally. Major producers like the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Russia play a significant role, and groups like OPEC plus coordinate production decisions, sometimes increasing output, sometimes cutting it, not because oil disappears, but to influence price and stability. Demand is driven by the world itself. When economies grow, they need more energy, more transportation, more production, more movement. When economies slow, demand falls. But the third factor is where things become unpredictable: geopolitical risk, because oil doesn't come from everywhere. It depends heavily on specific regions, and more importantly, on specific routes. Places like the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passage through which a significant portion of the world's oil supply travels, or major shipping lanes connecting continents. When these areas become unstable, markets react immediately, not because something has already happened, but because something might. And markets don't wait. They price in risk before reality catches up. In recent years, oil prices have been influenced by a combination of real, measurable factors: production cuts from major exporters, global economic recovery cycles, shifts in supply chains, and ongoing geopolitical tensions in key regions. At times, producers have reduced output, not because the world ran out of oil, but to keep prices from falling too low. At the same time, demand has remained strong, and when supply tightens, while demand holds steady, prices rise. This isn't new. It's happened before, and it will happen again. But what matters isn't just the price of oil, it's what that price touches. Because oil doesn't stay in one place, it moves through everything. When fuel becomes more expensive, transportation costs rise, trucking becomes more expensive, shipping becomes more expensive, air travel becomes more expensive, and those costs don't disappear. They move. A company pays more to transport goods, so it raises prices. A farmer pays more for fuel and fertilizers, so food prices increase. A manufacturer pays more for production, so products become more expensive. And slowly, the cost spreads, not all at once, but across everything. This is how inflation builds, not from one source, but from pressure moving through a system. And most people never see the connection. They see higher prices, they feel the pressure, but they don't see the chain behind it because the system is complex and most of it operates out of sight. Now, this doesn't mean something catastrophic is guaranteed to happen. It's important to understand that. But when pressure builds in a system like this, there are patterns. If supply stabilizes and tensions ease, prices can level out. The system recalibrates. Things return to a more stable state. If pressure continues, prices may remain elevated, not exploding, but persistently high.